bootees for P. Warren and Sons or T&E Batchelor and Company, or whoever it is that's giving us the work in this area. And when I get that order, I'm going to be supplied the top part of the shoe for the 60 pair done. The uppers are already assembled, and I'm supplied the wooden last, the form to build them on to make them size 9 or 12 or 6 or whatever the boss tells me. And I'm supplied the sole leather needed to finish that many pairs of shoes and heels. And I'm paid by the pair, paid by the piece, basically. And I'd knock out something like 3 to 5 pair of men's shoes in a 10-12 hour day in here. And there'd be at least 6 of us working in this building, each of us with our own 60 pair job lot to assemble. And this is one trade where we would typically work at night. And you would just have a lot of gizmos, concocted to be able to put the light where you want it so you can see what you're doing. And when you're working by night, working a trade, you're not trying to light the entire shop up. You're just trying to light up right where you're working so that I can see what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I can see somebody 6 feet from here. But with 6 of us working in here, and if we're all here in the evening, yeah, it'd probably be pretty bright in here. And then these shoes eventually wind up in a store somewhere. So you could quite easily walk into a country store like the one behind me, like Mr. Azonite's store, and just buy a pair of shoes like you do now. But if you didn't like what was at the store, you didn't like the quality, you didn't like the fit, you could still find someone to have a pair made to measure. But, depending on the town you're in, you might find 60% of the town is involved in making ready-made shoes. Because, you've got the men putting the soles and heels on. The top parts of the shoes that we're receiving are hand-sewn together by women in their homes who are also getting paid by the pair, getting paid by the piece. So you could have a town like North Brookfield with 1,500 people, and you got about 300 women sewing shoe uppers and nearly 600 men putting soles on, and they're making 500,000 pair a year. Or you can go to Lynn, which is up on the North Shore, our major shoe producing town, where you've got about 2,000 women sewing uppers and about 2,000 men putting soles on, and they're making about 2 million pairs of mostly women's and kids' shoes. So the making of shoes is already a major industry, but it hasn't become industrialized. We're not mechanized yet. It's all the sewing and the cutting and such is done by hand. And while there's no machinery that will put any part of a shoe together, we do have machines that will make the tacks, nails. We've got machines that make shoe pegs, which are what look like little wooden nails, which is an alternative way of putting a sole on a shoe, where instead of hand stitching it, you just have to make a pilot hole, bang in the peg, and do one about every 1/4 inch all the way around the outer edge of the sole, and you've got the shoe put together. Those are being made by machine. You've got the wooden lasts that you build the shoes on to have them come out the size you want, the toe shape, and all the rest of it, most of those are being made on Blanchard lathes. So they're being manufactured, but no one's figured out how to put, to come up with a machine that can put any part of a shoe together yet. Yeah, so just take it off in small bites so I don't wind up having to put some of it back, which gets rather difficult too.
Why is this something you do mostly at night?
Well, it isn't something that you do mostly at night. It's just that this time of year, if you're trying to keep your wages consistent, knocking out 3 to 5 pairs of shoes a day, you're going to have to work by night. And this is one trade where we've been doing that for millennia. There used to be a tradition in England of celebrating the end of working by night. So, basically, there used to be a tradition called dowsing the block in England, where on a certain time of year in March, the master would stump for a meal and drinks, and at the right occasion, the block that would hold a candle is brought out, and the senior journeyman would empty his drink over it, extinguishing the candle. And it's like, we're not going to need it for another year.